All right, let's go. Let's go. Right into it. For dinner. Very cool. Good evening, Damon Bradshaw. Welcome to the stream. You are first. John McElroy's Ghost and Laura. Welcome, guys. Welcome. This is going to be my first attempt at crafting live on stream, so we'll see how this goes. Chris Hargreaves says, "Hey, dude," or Hargreaves. "Hey, dude, love your vids. Helped me through a lot of tough times over the last year." Hey, that's cool to hear, man. Yeah, last year's been tough for a lot of people, but I'm glad that I've been able to help you. Glad to have you with us. Damon Bradshaw says, "What are you making?" Well, I don't know yet. I'm gonna make some scatter terrain, and I'm gonna walk you through my whole process essentially. So let's see how it goes. Laura S says, "How did the Blood Bay horse turn out?" Well, it's coming along, I suppose. It's not much different from when you last saw it, to be honest. I've had a bunch of other things I've been working on in the interim. So let's see here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of my Necromunda models to act as just sort of scale model type figurine to make sure that my terrain is in the right scale. How's the stream quality for you guys? Can you see my desk? You can see live, nothing lagging too much. Always good to check early. Chris Hargreaves says, "Would you ever make terrain based on the original Warhammer Dawn of War games?" Possibly. I don't really base my terrain on anything. I mean, I take aesthetic inspiration from a lot of places, but I don't actually I don't ever copy anybody's design, per se. So and I haven't played those Dawn of War games. My brothers play them, and my brothers like them. So I'll never say never, but it's not really on my radar, so to speak. Did you guys notice I shaved my beard? What do you think? Bill Making Stuff said, "Did you literally wait for Guy to end?" Did he just end? I saw that he was live earlier, but I did not specifically time it for Guy to end. But if he is done, that's good. That's good. Although he probably finished because it's like UK bedtime, which is not something I intentionally tried to do. Because Hargreaves says needs more stubble. Ahaha. You know what? I'm actually gonna do the opposite today. I'm gonna shave my face right down to the skin, and then I'll look like a baby. It'll be great. Norden Vandenbalk says, "Going from live stream to live stream." Haha. Cool. Anybody else come from Guy's live stream? It's 11:30 in the UK. Oh, that makes sense. Cool. Anyways, as you can see, I've got my two little models here. These are the Lack Ganger and Gene Stealer Cult, and these guys are going to help us make sure the terrain is the right height. And so what is the right height? Well, I want a couple things from it. I'm just going to sketch out here. I want some pieces that are kind of waist height, like this, so guys can stand behind it and be in cover, but not completely obscured. I want some higher pieces that just barely obscure them. I want something that's maybe tall like this, and maybe even something they can stand on and be in cover, somewhat like that. Just kind of thinking out loud here, guys. These Hubba Bubba containers are often used for their interesting sci-fi shape, and I've had this one lying around for a little while, so figured we could use this one. Joss Ray says, doing real crafting today? I suppose so. I suppose you could call this real crafting. But we'll see how far we get. We'll see what we come up with. We'll see what this ends up looking like. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and preemptively plug in my glue gun under the assumption that I will have some things to glue in a moment here. This is not actually the glue gun I like, but since I'm live, I'm not going to spend any time looking for that one. Mr. LG Duck says, Eric, you're lucky you can wear a beard, but you will never get away. But you also get away without one. I look dreadful with no beard. Yeah, I catch glimpses. I've had a beard for a little while now, so I catch glimpses of myself with no beard in the mirror, and it freaks me out. It really freaks me out. It's like, where'd my chin go? Damon Bradshaw says, Eric, I challenge you to use some empty toilet paper rolls and some scatter terrain plus 40k terrain. Why? Thing is about toilet paper rolls is they're really flimsy. They're pretty wide. They're pretty big gauge, and they're flimsy for how large they are. I think you can get. I'd be more interested in using a cardboard tube with a little bit more thickness of the same diameter, if that makes sense. But I'm not particularly interested in using those rolls because of how flimsy they are. Maybe if you fill them with like spray foam or something. I just bought a can of spray foam that I'm hoping to use for some projects like that. Like taking flimsy things and reinforcing them with the spray foam. There you go. The Immersive World Crafter's in the chat. How's it going, man? He says, hey Eric, how you doing, my dude? Looking well, mate. Thank you. Thank you, appreciate that. I'm doing pretty well. It's Sunday evening here. I've got some jerk chicken on the barbecue, cooking slowly. My wife is watching it while I live stream with you guys. Should be fun. Bill Making Stuff says, the most useless of rolls, referring to toilet paper rolls. I think he's right. So you know what I'm thinking here, guys, is see this piece? I bought this in Home Depot the other day, and it is a floor drain, I think. I'm thinking I can make this into sort of a vent that has like an access hatch, or sort of like an access, like maybe a little staircase going up to it, and a little platform area, and then maybe some machinery or something next to it, like maybe a pump or something. This is also something from the plumbing aisle at Home Depot, which I think has a pretty cool shape. It's kind of heavy though. But feel free to throw ideas in the chat if you have ideas for things you want to see me craft. Damon Bradshaw says, my core crafting supplies are toilet paper rolls, Amazon boxes, and sprues. It's good to keep it cheap. It's good to keep it accessible, but I think you can do a little bit better than that with in terms of the toilet paper rolls. I mean, I'm trying to think of what I would build with them, and maybe I would use them for like the interior curve of something. And how do you support them? I guess you could always roll up some cardboard and put them inside. Okay, let's get right into this. Ooh, I do have one of these thicker straws. Cool, this is like a bubble tea straw. What do they call bubble tea where you guys live? They call it boba here, which I feel like it used to just be called bubble tea. Now it's boba everywhere. It's a little bit strange to me. It's one of these gang boxes. Not sure if I'm going to use that. I've got. I've been printing some of these off. And these are from my 3D printer. They're really cool. You just use regular drinking straws. These ones here. And they're elbow connectors for the drinking straws. So I think we're going to get some of those going. I haven't used them yet. Let's try them out. Damon Bradshaw asked, is Poundland in Ontario? No, not as far as I know. Dollarama is the one in Ontario. Brett Wickens says, get down to Poundland. Yeah, Poundland is a UK thing, I think. Hence the pound. Got lots and lots of bits all around me here, guys. It's hard for you to get a good sense of them because I can't fit them all in the frame at once. But you'll maybe get a sense for how much of my crafting process is indecisively looking around and digging through boxes. Simple says, "Woo, let's go, Eric." Welcome, Simple. I quite like the shape of this little bottle that I'm peeling all the stickers off of right now. Give you guys a look at that. You know, it's important to me to use shapes that aren't instantly recognizable as the shapes that they are. Like, for example, this water bottle. It has such a distinctive water bottle shape that I'd have a hell of a time hiding that in my craft. But something like this is sort of agnostic enough I can turn this into a tank without too much trouble. So I might use this one. It's covered in this gunk though, so. Well, this guy says go rogue and use the mouse as part of the build. Not today, but maybe one day. I really like these, like this SteelSeries mouse has this flashing, colorful stuff. There's definitely some ideas in there. So which country has the best dollar stores, do you guys think? Because there's certainly some variation. Like Dollarama is a heck of a good store. But then some of the stores that I go to in, like, I see the things people get at Poundland sometimes and it makes me jealous. But then I also see some good ones, like the mainstream ones, the main chain ones like Dollar Tree in the US, I'm not a huge fan of, but the small mom and pop dollar stores are sometimes really, really good. CJ Kilbride says Dollar Tree kind of sucks. It does kind of suck, unfortunately. It's like it's got like a lot of food more than anything, it seems like, which, you know, is handy if you're trying to save money on food, but not if you're looking to craft things. S90 says, hey, now this is something I can do. So much junk I saved for this type of stuff. Glad you're streaming again, Eric. Thank you, man. I'm glad that you enjoy my streams. So, I want to put a little platform on the side of this vent. Let's start with that. We need a little bit of... Get some chipboard. I feel like Indiana Jones, like sneaking the piece of chipboard out from the drawer, because I don't know if you guys can see, I got a 3D printer going back there, and it's on top of the drawers that I want to go into for my materials. So, got to be very, very mindful of that. Don't want to jostle the 3D printer too much and lose hours and hours of print time. Damon Bradshaw said, Eric, you should make a shanty elevator that can take units from one level to another for elevation tactics. Interesting. Interesting. I have a little thing. It's like an elevator toy for Hot Wheels that I've been meaning to use for a while, and I was thinking I was just going to kind of add a little bit more detail to it and paint it up and make it part of my Fortress set, because I figured they'd sometimes need some freight elevation sort of stuff to get guns to the walls, things like that. But I'm not there yet, because there are some issues with it that I haven't wrapped my head around fully. Okay, I'm gonna mark some little lines in the chipboard here and cut some lengths. Ben Barrett says your scissors with the plaid grips are fabulous, aren't they? I guess I've never really thought about it. They're nice sharp ones, that's for sure. Excuse me. Mr. LGDUK says, I've never seen gingham handle scissors. Everybody's admiring the scissors, eh? I guess they're pretty center frame. I think they're just from the dollar store. Or no, maybe these are the ones from Target. Yeah, these are, it's hard to see, but they have like a convexity to the blade. These are for like cutting cloth, I think, so they're very sharp. I would not use them for cutting chipboard because it would annihilate them. But I was trying to make a little thumbnail for the stream, and so I staged artfully some pieces. I don't know if it was a very successful staging or not, but Sean Watson says, hi Hobby Folk and Eric. Hi Sean, welcome to the chat. Edward Cote says, Lego motor? Is that a question about if something on my desk is a Lego motor? Not as far as I know. Although I went to a summer camp one year, like a day camp at MIT, when my dad lived in Boston. And we did all this stuff with Lego motors there, and that was like really, really fun. And yeah, I should have maybe become an engineer or something, because I really enjoyed that. Hey, look at that! Just found a drill bit for my pin vise. Okay. Damon Bradshaw said, hey Eric, the shanty elevator would be made in similar style to your shanty town and can be placed on any elevated terrain or freestanding for fun. Huh. Shanty elevator. I guess what would be the rules in-game for something like Necromunda to use an elevator? It probably exists. I haven't played Necromunda in a little while. You use an action and up it goes. That could be good because you could have a bunch of guys get in the elevator and then one of them actions to make it go up. And they all get sort of extra movement. Yeah, there could be something there. One of the pieces I'm working on right now is a really, really big thing that represents sort of like one of the mega conduits that goes in between hive levels in Necromunda. And I'm not going to show you guys what it looks like yet, but I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to be really, really cool. Chris Hargrave says it would be an action to call it and one action to go up. It's in the books. Oh, cool. So can you do what I suggested and have another guy come in the elevator with you? Brett Wickens, night everyone, have a blast and a good week. Good night. Yes, you can. Okay, cool. That's very cool. I spent a lot of time thinking about in Necromunda, like why things would have been built up the way they were, you know, and like to have an elevator to something, there has to be kind of something worthy of elevating to. You know what I mean? Like in the real world, you don't put elevators everywhere. You put them in. Like it's very, very rare in the real world for there to be a one-story elevator, or a two-story elevator, or even a four-story elevator, unless there's a reason for it. And that can be difficult to sort of plan the unplanned chaos of Necromunda so that it makes sense as, oh, here's why this was built, and then this was built, and then this part was destroyed so that this part could be built. That process, I spend a lot of time thinking about that. Maybe I overthink it sometimes, but I think it's good to think about those things. RFD Hobbies in the chat. Hey Eric, hey everyone. Hey, good to see you, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Harpy says cargo elevator. Yeah, exactly. So a cargo elevator looks a lot different than a regular elevator. It's big, it's bulky, and you know it goes from one level of a big structure to another. Like nothing, you know, you just want to have it going from a level to another level that makes sense that they might have to move a huge amount of cargo to. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. Norden Vandenbalk says, I live in a student complex which has 3 stories, but we do have an elevator. Interesting. Where do you live? Is that it's a Scandinavian thing? It could be, that's probably in that case about accessibility for disabled people or what have you. And yeah. Chris Hargrave says, or even if it's just a pulley elevator because the walkway's collapsed, this is the underhive. See, I like that. I like showing the ways that the people have adapted to actually use the space in a logical way. And if it's improvised, then that makes sense and it looks good. But sometimes things can be a combination of rough looking, but also improvised looking, if you guys know what I mean. Or sorry, sort of improvised, but also too manufactured looking. And that's something that I try to avoid. So I'm thinking I probably should have done a little bit more premeditation on what I was going to build today. But as you can see right now, I'm just going to build some little chipboard pieces. To support a little platform here. Maybe this is not the most Yeah, Richard Aubergine says, my apartment building has only 4 floors and 2 elevators. Pretty sure for people with mobility issues, but we all use it. There's also a weird thing in Necromunda where it's tough to divine if there aren't a lot of playable interior spaces, and in a sense, much of the city is an interior space. But in another sense, it's an exterior space, everything. So there's kind of the question of you know, would there be walls around this? And if so, how do I make that playable? Like, so for Necromunda to have an elevator, you almost need to have an exterior elevator or be playing in like a Zone Mortalis type scenario. Or I guess each of the domes is kind of like a manufactorum, could be like the equivalent of a factory. And so it would be almost like a giant space that's technically an interior, but is so large that it almost feels like an exterior. Bit of an interesting thing. YouTube says Eric question mark. Well, you guys know how that works, right? That's a banned comment. That is a timeout. Every day the list of banned comments gets longer in my head, but I don't tell you guys about what they are because I thought I could confide in you guys in the type of comments that bother me, and you guys wouldn't use it as an opportunity to tease me. But I guess I was too optimistic. It's all fun and games. Look, I timed out YouTube itself. How good is that? Richard Aubergine says, what stuff do you put in your hair? I need answers. I don't think there's anything in my hair, man. It's like just shampoo. It's like a 5-in-1 shampoo. If Joe Biden played Necromunda, what gang do you think he would collect? Orlok. Have a back wall for the elevator with railings around it, or for the pulley idea, just a flat area for minis to stand on with what looks like very unstuffy pulleys. Yeah, you know what I think for an elevator is like scaffoldy beams on either side. Probably makes sense. Jake Dog says, I missed you, Mr. Eric. Where you been? Hope you as well. I've been here. I streamed on Thursday. I guess you didn't make it to that one, but I was here, and it was a good stream. We went through some old white dwarfs. Alright guys, I'm going to the old bag of, what are these things called again? Ruminate toys. These are a classic on Eric's Hobby Workshop. Oh, almost cut my finger off. That would be not ideal to do live on stream. Yeah, something like that. Looks okay. Let's see. These guys come up here. A little bit of access. We do some. Yeah, I'm liking this so far. Potion vendors commenting on the scissors. We got a lot of love for the scissors today. I guess you never know what resonates. Eh? That's the funny thing about YouTube, guys, is you think, you know, oh, my audience is gonna like this, or my audience will not like this, and then turns out you're wrong. I don't know. Maybe some people know exactly what the audience wants at all time, but not me. Like I never would have in a million years thought my scissors were gonna get any compliments at all. Here they are, the star of the show. Chad Payne says, where do you get your random bits at, or how do you go about getting them? Well, I just keep an eye out kind of wherever I go, and sometimes, you know, I alter my consumer choices to get better bits. Like, for example, this is not my favorite gum. Like, not at all. Not by a long shot. But I would chew it over a better gum if I wanted the package. I do a lot of stuff like that, actually. I just bought like 2 liters of 2 1-liter bottles of apple cider vinegar that I'm never going to go through in my whole life, but the bottle is an interesting shape. and I wanted it for an upcoming project. So I'm gonna start using a lot of apple cider vinegar in my life, I guess. Anybody have any ideas what to do with it? Let me know in the chat. Jeez. Eric, do you have a Dremel? Cutting plastic like that removes my fingertips 4 out of 5 times. Yeah, I do have a Dremel, but you know what? It's a trade-off because the Dremel will powderize the plastic and put it in your lungs 4 out of 5 times. So sometimes you just gotta risk your fingers. Just watch what you're doing, and it all works out. Okay, guys, as you can see, I'm using the hot glue gun here, and I've made a little platform. Okay. It's kind of rough, kind of tough, and I put the sticks on the wrong side, but I don't care. That's fine. And now we're going to glue that platform right on here. See, this is, oh, what am I doing? This is why this is not my favorite glue gun. Look at it dribbling. It's getting everywhere. Ouch. Oosh. It's hot too. Who would have thought it'd be hot? I guess it's in the name, hot glue gun. Now, what do you guys think? Should it be lined up like that, or off center, or lined up like that? I think like that. Yeah. I have some advice about the apple cider vinegar I think I saw. If you want to get through the apple cider vinegar, just dilute it with water and drink it. It's supposed to be good for you. Yeah, what is it supposed to do? I've seen that, people talking about their diets, and then like, and then I take a shot of apple cider vinegar. It's like, what is it, for digestion or something? Apple cider vinegar plus steel wool makes iron dye. Ooh. What would I use that for? Like, it's like a bright orange dye, I imagine. Sounds kind of interesting. Let's see. So I have a little tank here like this. Yeah, what do you guys think of that? Oh, it's not bad. Let's see if I can move things over just a tiny bit. Yeah. Oh, I burned myself nicely there. This glue gun gets hotter than my other glue gun. That's probably why it dribbles. It just won't stop dribbling. Getting glue all over everything, which is not good because I like to keep this as a flat surface. But on we go. It makes no matter. So here I have all this, you can see this gunk, this label gunk on here, guys. I think I'm going to try to remove this with some rubbing alcohol. Let's go for that. So why do they call this stuff rubbing alcohol? What are you supposed to rub with it? I mean, I'm about to rub a pill bottle with it, but make sure to keep this away from my hot glue gun so I don't have any viral fire crises live on the stream. Alright, let's see if this works. Ooh, that's working actually pretty well. You can see, guys, I'm getting that label residue right off there. Working really nicely. Yeah, Marco Lou says, I think you rub it on cuts. The thing is, you're not supposed to rub it on a cut, right? You're supposed to just pour it over the cut. And I don't think they even recommend you do that anymore. Like, use it as an antiseptic. You certainly wouldn't like rub it in, would you? Would you rub it? Like, I think at most I would like dab it, you know, like a gentle blotting. But like rubbing, rubbing a wound seems cruel and unusual. Potion vendor. Why did I say vendor like that? Vendor. I know that word. It's isopropyl alcohol. Chris Hargave says, does the pipe fitting work with the bottle for a tank? Does the pipe fitting work with the bottle for a tank? Which pipe fitting? This one? One of these? Yeah, I mean, we're gonna use this for a tank for sure. It's just gonna go right here like this, I think, because that's gonna cause just a little bit of line of sight block. Interesting shape. I think we're gonna go with that. I don't think we need the pipe fitting. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some thin cardboard now to detail this thing a little bit. What is the best thin cardboard that I can use? I think I've got a Cinnamon Toast Crunch box over here. There it is. Oh, cornflakes. Cornflakes will work. Cinnamon Toast Crunch would have been better, but cornflakes will work. Now we can use these gingham scissors. Just going to get rid of this weird piece that goes along the side. Rubbing alcohol is used for fingernail polish remover, I think, says Chad Payne. And Richard Aubergine says, no, that's acetone. Yeah, I think you're right, Richard. The mystery continues. Maybe one of you guys can Google it. I might not have my handful, but what does the rubbing and rubbing alcohol mean? What are you supposed to rub with it? I mean, I just rubbed it on the bottle and it worked really nicely, but I still don't think that's it. In the underhive, they only have corpse starch flakes. What are the other sources of food in the underhive? I mean, corpse starch is obviously a popular one that people like. It's almost like a meme at this point. But they must eat mushrooms and some other synthetic stuff. Chemical waste products and things like that. Groks. Rats is a good one. Hammer time. Good point. That's 90 other hivers. That counts as corpses. Let's do some 1/4 inch strips on this thing. Yeah, 1/4 inch. Or not. Let's do 1 centimeter strips. Marco Liu has looked it up. The term rubbing alcohol came into prominence in North America in the mid-1920s. The original rubbing alcohol was literally used as a liniment for massage, hence the name. What? An alcohol massage? That's crazy, because it seems like it evaporates quickly, and then there's like the absence of residue, like the absence of slickness, like a massage oil. Thank you, Marco Liu, for looking that up, though. Appreciate that. Sorry I missed that at first. But yeah, that is interesting. A liniment for massage. And what, forgive me for not knowing, is a liniment? Does anybody have a quick definition of liniment? Sean Watson says, does the elevator come down onto that platform? So this particular piece is not an elevator. We were talking about another elevator. and how that would work. This is just kind of, I imagine, a vent to a lower level that can that maybe has some monitoring equipment or something that needs to be accessed by this platform. And also, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So Eric is making a Mario tunnel. I guess you could say that. I hadn't really thought of that. I had not really thought of that. I guess there are some similarities to Mario. What I'm doing is just improvising an interesting piece that you can stick down in the middle of the battlefield in between other pieces to provide some small measure of cover and also something that looks a little bit interesting. And that is my definition of scatter terrain. And this is obviously a slightly larger piece of scatter terrain, kind of pushing the boundary towards true terrain, but I would still consider it scatter terrain. Richard Aubergine says, I'm hurt you read most of my comments and choose to ignore my comments calling you a handsome nerd. I don't know what to say, dude. Appreciate it, I guess. Definitely the nerd part. Okay. You can see this is a technique I've used for a while now, using these cardboard strips to just change up the shape of this bottle a little bit, and I did it a little bit crooked. Actually pretty crooked, pretty badly crooked. Let's pull that right. Oh, disaster. This is the type of things I edit out of my videos usually, guys. Disasters like this. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Sean Watson says, sounded like you were dreaming up some sort of an elevator. Well, I will have an elevator in the future. I was saying earlier that I have a piece that I'm working on that's going to be like a giant pipe that goes from level to level in the Underhive, or at least implies that. And that'll be quite a spectacular piece. And I'll probably put an elevator on that now that we've discussed how to do it properly. Scott Daniker says, what thickness is the chipboard? This that I'm using right now, Scott, is not chipboard. This is a cereal box that's in my hand. This is just some cornflakes box. Which, actually, there is another name for this that's not chipboard. In the industry, they differentiate from this board. I think they call it packaging board, or you know, I actually forget at the moment. I was gonna do maybe a little segment in one of my videos, if not its own video, about all the different types of cardboard. I think that could be an interesting video. The types of cardboard and the types of plastic. But maybe that's too niche. Maybe that's only the type of thing that I would care about. Chad Payne says, how often do you do streaming? Just found your channel the other day. I do it at least once a week. Regularly do it on Thursday afternoon, Chad, and then I'm just experimenting with other times here and there just to see what works, what gets good viewership, what time I'm in the mood to do it. because my energy level can vary from different types of day, different times of day, different times in the week, and I want to be in a good mood for you guys. So there's no good answer to that yet. I will post a formal schedule when I figured it out a little bit more, and then I will do my darndest to stick to that schedule, because I do enjoy streaming and I do want to formalize it a little bit. And starting very soon, I'm going to be going live on Twitch as well. Concurrently streaming on both platforms is my plan. And yeah, I think it'll be really exciting. Today is the first day I've really done any crafting on the stream. Previous times I've just been hanging out painting some of my models, or in the last stream what I did was I went through some White Dwarf magazines and brainstormed some ideas and just hung out kind of with the audience, and that was kind of fun. But what I think I'd like to do is start a stream-only project that just gets started and completed completely on stream, and is like a bigger project as well. So you have to keep tuning in to see the progress and to see it come to fruition. And I think that could be really fun. Miscast is in the chat. Look at this absolute legend. Welcome, Trent. Thanks for tuning in and saying hi. I assume you're talking about me when you say legend, but it could be talking about anyone, I suppose. Diggs Miniatures and Gas Lines. Hi, folks. Welcome, Diggs. Okay, putting some glue on there, guys, and let's glue that in. This is a secret technique that I like to use sometimes. And when I say secret, I just mean a pro move. Watch this. So I've got this ugly little gap in here. You guys probably can't see it very well, but I don't know. It's really bad. So I'm just going to load up a fresh stick of glue and just basically pump it full of hot glue. And that is going to make everything stronger in there. Come on. Did this get unplugged or something? Oh, making a mess, making a mess. Richard Aubergine with a somewhat inappropriate comment. You're on a roll today, Richard. S90 says, hot glue always looks a bit like welds, so it works. It doesn't. So it does, I agree, it looks a lot like a welding bead. But sometimes it's much bigger than any weld that I've seen. So there you go. Trent says that technique is blasphemy. Well, don't know what to tell you, Trent. You know I like the chaos. Look at this. Just fill this whole area in with a giant blob, and that'll have a little bit more stability. Stability is always a nice thing when it comes to terrain, especially something like this. See this leg here? This leg here, guys, this will not survive long unless I shore it up with something else. So rest assured, I will brace that with something else before we're done here. But you know what I want now? I want a little set of stairs. So let me figure out where I put those. Oh, that was a short search. They're right here. That is good. In case you guys have never seen these stairs before, they are plastrucked styrene stairs, O-scale. O-scale, which I think is 1 to 48, which is a little bit bigger than 28 millimeters. But I like these because they look pretty reasonably like stairs for this scale. Like this guy would take these one stair at a time and not have to do anything crazy. Oh wow, my wife is bringing me food here, guys. I can't eat on stream. I'll eat it later. Thank you. What a lovely wife I have. Random Air says, "Hey Eric, how are you, buddy? What got you into building and crafting?" Well, just being a kid, I guess. It seemed like a cool way to make stuff that looks cool. I don't know. I think I was always into building and crafting. I've told this story maybe before, but I was when I was 4 or 5, I had a goldfish. I just remember looking at its tank, and it was in like a really, really small tank. Like it was. Look at this, guys. This is pretty much the perfect size right away. I didn't even have to cut it. Sometimes you just get lucky. This goldfish was in this tiny little tank. Like, hey, Miscast with the super chat. 7 for Papa Nurgle. Good luck with the rest of the stream. Thanks, Trent. I don't know what time it is there, but I don't think that's ever stopped you before. But thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. So I had this goldfish that was in a really, really small tank, like Brent Amberger level small, and I felt bad for the fish because that's so I built it some terrain to go with it. I built it some little trees, and I actually used toilet paper rolls. We're coming full circle, guys. I used toilet paper rolls for my first ever terrain crafting, making some palm trees. They didn't look much like palm trees. They were basically toilet paper rolls that were cut at the top with the tops bent down to look like fronds, so they had really thick sort of thick trunks and strange looking fronds. But I was still pretty pleased that I was able to sort of make a tree out of nothing. And then I started making they had this weird craft at my kindergarten class, I remember. It was like a shoebox full of blank cardboard bookmarks. And I made a little house out of those. And I remember realizing that if you fold the stair, like you could fold a piece of cardboard in an accordion shape, like so, and it would make a pretty quick set of stairs. I'm not sure why I've never used that technique since kindergarten, but there it is. All you lovely stream folks get one. Miss Cass says, "I'm so glad I didn't miss Brent Amberger small before I left." That one's for you, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Stream exclusive techniques, guys. Just oozing. Richard Aubergine says, "For goldfish, the rule is 1 goldfish per 20 gallons. Hey, Hammer Time WC, I just wanted to one-up Miscast. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate a little competition of this nature. You guys are too generous. Thank you very much, Hammer Time WC. Very much appreciated. For goldfish, the rule is 1 per 20 gallons, but for an extra 10 gallons after it, you can add 1 more. So 40 gallons, you can have 3. Yeah, so how big is a tank? Like this big. 1 gallon at most, and I had a goldfish in there. And felt really bad for him. But at least he had some nice trees to look at. And then we had to give him back to the pet store when I moved, which is very strange. But we're not here to talk about that now, are we? Okay, guys, let's try some of these 3D printed pipe greebles. I've never used these before. There is a guy who, I'm switching my hot glue gun from high to low, by the way, because I'm anticipating that the blazing hot temperatures on this will absolutely torch my fingers if I do this. But I think that these straws will be better suited to have a lower temperature hot glue. So these connector pieces, I don't know if you guys can see those well, are 3D printed. There's a guy named 7 United who makes all kinds of freely available 3D printing science fiction greebles on Thingiverse. And he's got an Instagram page as well. And he's constantly designing stuff that, let's say, complements the Games Workshop style of stuff. So, this is my first time printing some of his stuff, and I'm pretty impressed with this stuff. Diggs Miniatures and Gaslands, all .01 up the both of them, winky face. Whoa. Thank you, Diggs. Appreciate that. You have .01 them up, certainly. You know, this would be a great time to use, like, if I had one of those, if I had an auctioneer voice that I could do, I would have to bust it out right now, but I've never been able to do a convincing auctioneer. One day, guys. But I'm not going to practice live, so don't even ask. So, the way these things work, as you can see, I have some lengths of just normal straw here. Let's zoom right in. And you can see there's different shapes, elbows, and you can make some pretty cool pipe shapes with just nothing but straws. And that is pretty awesome. So this guy designed these himself, 3D printed them up, or I 3D printed them up, but and he also included, like, he's such a thoughtful guy, he included a scaling guide. So if they don't fit your straws, you can just plug into the Excel file what the dimensions of your straws are, and it'll say how to scale them. So the first batch I actually printed were a little bit too big, but subsequent batches I was able to dial in the scale perfectly, so gotta love it. Trent with the flip table emoji. That's a great emoji. Is that called an emoji, or what do you call that when you do it with the parentheses and things like that? Diggs Miniatures and Gaslands. O gauge is 148, S gauge is 164th, and HO is 187th. Yeah, okay. I've never actually seen much S gauge stuff, Diggs. Thank you for that, though. But O gauge actually seems to work pretty well for this scale sometimes. At least the stairs work well for this scale. Virtual Cycle says, Eric, you should get into Blender and custom design 3D printed parts. I'm actually ahead of you on that one, man. I'm trying to learn 3D modeling. I've dabbled a little bit. I've made a few little things that I'm not happy with, but some stuff like that is going to be coming in the future in that vein. Because I think there's this whole realm of possibility in that direction. Oh, you know what I forgot to do, guys? I forgot to cover the threading on the bottom of this bottle, so let's do that now. Let's do that now. Give it a little measure. Where did I put my ruler? Here it is. It looks like it is a... When it's not a nice round number in inches, I switch to centimeters and feel no remorse. Let's go with a 1.5 centimeter strip. Diggs Miniatures and Gaslands says, I build an S gauge or 1/64th scale almost exclusively. Interesting. And why is that? Is that the same? Which of those would you put 28 millimeter modeling into? Is it S gauge? John McElroy's Ghost says, shout out to Aleen's Tacky Glue, my favorite crafting glue. It's darn good glue. I actually didn't learn about it until fairly recently. I thought, you know, how different can it be from white glue? But it is different. It's tackier. And yeah, I like it quite a lot for a lot of applications. I actually use it for basing miniatures a lot of the time. Hewlett Packard Lovecraft. That's a great username, man. I like that. Says, when are you considering giving the cardboard seminar? I don't know. It's not on the immediate horizon. You know, maybe I can throw that together as a quick video next weekend while I'm in Toronto, because yeah, I'll be going to Toronto next weekend. Because I have some family staying with me right now that I need to take back to Toronto. This is kind of risky. Why measure when you can just fill everything with hot glue, right guys? Am I right? Well, looks like, no, I'm not right, but what can you do? What can you do? Nick Strub says, looking suave, dude. Hope all is well. I think you're referring to my newly vanished beard. And thank you. Thank you. As I was saying earlier, it takes some getting used to. I catch my own reflection. I go, oh my god, who is that? I figured it would inspire me to help lose weight if I had to look at my cherubic cheeks in the mirror instead of just hiding them behind my beard. It's funny because when I was a kid, you know, I was very skinny. Not like skinny, but like, you know, lean. As kids effortlessly are sometimes. And my dad had a build that's very similar to my build now. And I used to tease him and tell him he was fat. And he would say, you know, I'm not really fat. And I go, yeah, you are. You're fat, Dad. Horrible kid that I was now in hindsight. Thinking that's okay to say to your dad. So now that I'm about the age that my dad would have been when I first met him, I am thinking I should probably not be the weight that I would have made fun of myself for, if that makes sense. These are the convoluted reasons why I do things, guys. But, you know, I also like food. I like food quite a lot. So we'll see who wins out in the end. The hamburgers or the 5-year-old bully that lives inside me. The Packard Lovecraft says Eric's a pretty good name too. Thanks, pal. Richard Aubergine, don't tell me you live in suburbia. Toronto is where it's at, although the housing prices are insane. Yeah, I do live in suburbia, Richard Aubergine, and that's exactly why. In Toronto, the house that I live in now would have cost maybe twice or almost 3 times as much as I paid for this house. So, I don't know. I grew up in Toronto, and it's a nice town, and I like it, but that's the type of thing that makes you not want to live there, unfortunately. Diggs Miniatures and Gas Line says random air look for British N gauge. That would be at 1/148 scale. Oh, it sounds like you're responding to somebody else. I hate reading fragments of conversations, trying to figure out in real time what's going on while still trying to craft. S90 says Eric's cooking workshop when? I was actually thinking about doing a cooking video for April Fools last year, but I didn't get around to it. I got some tips and tricks. Maybe one day. Darrell B says, eat those healthy salad leaf burgers rather than the buns. The bun is like 40% of the calories. Yeah, but it's also 40% of the goodness, dude. If I'm going to eat a leaf full of burger, then might as well just eat 40% less burgers, is the way I would look at that, you know? Diggs Miniatures and Gas Signs. Don't apologize. Please do help other people in the chat. don't apologize. I just it's my fault for reading partway into the conversation and trying to make sense of it. I'm not saying I don't like when you talk to each other in the chat. Just the opposite. I love when I see people talking to each other in the chat. Okay, let's make a little pipe. See how this hot glue is handled by these straws. I'm going to try to pump the straw full of hot glue and see if that helps it. Ooh, yeah, this is what I was worried about. Buckling, bending, melting. Uh-oh. Okay, guys, we might have to rethink this one a little bit. Buckling, bending, melting. Overflowing. Not so bad. Hardening. Slowly. HP Lovecraft says you could show us what to build with the leftover packaging. Yeah, one thing at a time. I'm showing you something to build right now. To the extent that I even know what I'm doing, which is not necessarily the case. And now, right now, I wish I hadn't done that. Oh well, okay. Let's see what happens if I bring a piece up here. Something like this. It's a good location for a piece. Maybe something like that. Yeah, I think that looks good. Let's glue that together. Richard Aubergine says you got to start using super glue for the finicky parts. I could use super glue, but I'm still. The reason I'm using hot glue for this, Richard Aubergine, is like these little straws are so finicky, right? Like they're so flimsy, and so I figure if I squirt a bunch of glue into them, like I did on this section here, then it makes it. You can see the darker part where it's full of glue, and that is hard, rigid, powerful, stable, and that's what I want. I want a little bit more rigidity in these pieces. So the hot glue injection is one way that I'm experimenting with achieving that. See, this bottom section is still quite flimsy, but here comes a fresh stick of hot glue. Artist Poet putting on those couplers looks like a job for the baking soda and hot glue. Would probably work well, but you wouldn't be able to get this hot glue injection that I'm going for right here. So, trade-offs, guys, trade-offs with everything, right? And yeah, hot glue is very stream-friendly because it glues quickly and we can move right on. So what do you guys think? If this is not your first stream, like, or even if it is, what do you think of me crafting live in stream? Can you see what's going on well enough for this to be entertaining? Or is this something you would rather just see me doing something else on stream? Your feedback is always appreciated. Mr. LG Duck says, yes, really good. Thank you for the feedback. That's very kind. I don't know anybody else who streams terrain. Do you guys? I think I might be the little pioneer in this little space here. So you can see I'm making a little pipe-a-rooney. Hate that, pipe-a-rooney. A little pipe, okay? Moving mad here. Let's You can see I've just pre-cut a bunch of lengths of pipe and a bunch of different lengths of pipe. How much more redundant can I get? But yeah, that just helps to make things a little bit more easily improvised. S90 says, this is great. Seeing the mistakes is as useful as the perfect cut upload. Yeah, I try to include some of my mistakes in my long form videos, but only the interesting ones, I guess I would say. So you maybe miss some of the other type of mistakes. Shoot, is it too late? No, it's not too late to pull that off. Good. So that is too short. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out, guys. You can see what I'm doing a little bit lower down. Emesis says it's a little slow paced, but learning. Yeah, I think I can work on that a little bit better by improving the angles that you get, and then also planning a little bit better. Maybe completing some sub-assemblies off camera. I'm learning here too, you know, about just kind of the pitfalls of trying to do this live. So, yeah. Dirty Birds F says Tyrannosaur was trying, but he gave up on YouTube streaming. Did he? Interesting. I didn't catch any of those streams. What did he say? Why didn't he? What was his sort of issue with it? I guess. Did he say? So you know what I'm going to try to do, guys? I'm going to try to bring this straw over here, this pipe, and then I'm going to have it go down in between the cracks in here, and maybe have a little piece that joins into it. Let's do it. By the way, how great are these little connector pieces? These are maybe my new favorite thing. And don't worry, I will feature them in an upcoming long form video so you guys can know exactly where to get them and what they are if you're just tuned in or something. Yeah, these are really handy. I've been looking for something like this for a while. I've previously used some of those wacky straws that are like, they're very hard to get. It's like, I can't remember what search terms I used to buy them the first time, and I can't even find them. And then they don't actually look like, exactly like miniature pipes, per se, either, which is, depending on your preferences, an issue or not much of an issue. Okay, let's do a pipe going this way. Richard Aubergine says, you know why most streams fail? Lack of beard. I'm going to ignore that. How about that? The Cult of One says, the real question is, Eric, what else would you be doing for your stream? I quite like seeing the terrain, but I can't speak for anyone else. Well, I've done miniature painting. I did one recently today, just the other day, where I was looking at white dwarfs. And talking about things that I saw in there. No, that went pretty well, and that was fun. There's lots of things I could do streaming. Karaoke, for example. But I'm glad you like it. Thank you. Okay. Caitlin Sadowski says, I'm making cookies. Very nice, Caitlin. What kind of cookies are you making? I haven't had a cookie in a really long time, actually. Just one of those things, I guess. Harpy, I feel like you get a better sense of the technique watching you talk through it start to end. It's a nice compliment to the edited vids. I like that. Compliment to the edited vids. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Oops. Alright, here you can see what I've done here is melted the heck out of the straw and squished it when I tried to push on it. Let's see if we can fix that. One of the reasons I like crafting in Necromunda world or like a grimdark setting is you can hide a lot of mistakes with the weathering and sense of neglect that the world is supposed to have anyways, so that's always fun. Okay, let's glue this on. Where are my contact points? Here, down here, here. Let's try that. Making a mess. Oh, that didn't go very well. Yeah, that didn't go very well. Oh well, it's on there. That's what we got so far for a pipe. Coming up and over, and there's a little piece coming in from here, and we're going to make it continue on down into there. Happy little pipe. Anthony Shannon says, too late for this European. Good luck, Eric. Well, good night, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in to say hi, at least. Virtual Cycle says there's even VR sculpting programs where you can sculpt clay with your hands. I think I saw Narb using something like that over at Narb's Makes. He had some sort of VR thing going on where he was crafting in VR. Pretty amazing. Scotty CVS Gossage. Think you'll do more fantasy terrain in the future? I saw you looking at fantasy builds from the Old White Dwarfs. Of course I will. Of course I will. I try to keep a balance of all the different systems I'm interested in because my own... That is a mosquito. Where did you come from? Honestly, where did... I'm like looking into the other room like I'm going to see like a lit up sign that says mosquito entrance here. But that is disturbing when a mosquito just flies into your room. Maybe somebody has a window upstairs open. Anyways, where was I? Hey, Dozer88SR with the super chat. Thanks very much, Dozer. Appreciate that. Hang on. I'm in the middle of a bit of a glue crisis here, Dozer. Thank you though for the donation. I really appreciate that. So where were we? I got distracted like 3 times in a row there. Solvent Abuse UK, do you play UK historical games? No, there's no UK in there. Why did I read a UK? Oh yeah, Solvent Abuse UK, do you play historical games? No, I don't. I'd be interested in it. You know, I have a book. I got the Perry Brothers miniatures book, and they have like a setup in there of the Battle of Agincourt, and that's really, really cool. You know, obviously that's very adjacent to like my Bretonnian army. I like a lower fantasy personally to begin with. But as far as starting a new system, new rules that I don't know anyone that plays it, maybe not. I mean, I went to recently a local hobby shop where there were some guys playing a game that took place in, I think, I want to say the French and Indian War. And it looked like they were having a blast. And if I could find a group of guys that's willing to play it, then I'm interested in that sort of stuff. But right now, no plans. Right now, no plans. But I do want to do more historical crafting that can be multi-purposed as wargames terrain. So you know, and I have something like that that's coming out in about 2 weeks. So you'll see it when it comes. I don't want to give away too much. Richard Aubergine says, "Have you considered doing the Battle of Crécy?" I haven't seriously considered any particular battles. Crécy was what was that, the beginning of the Hundred Years' War, or towards the end? I don't know. I read some books that took place in that period, but it was a while now. I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, I like that era. I like that stuff. Doing like a Harfleur siege or something like that, or an Agincourt, that would be cool. But I mean, most of that is miniatures based. Like, is there anything specifically interesting about the battlefield itself to render, or would I just be having to paint 100 knights? Like, kind of interesting. Like, in theory, that's really cool, but in practice, what would be practical about that? There might be several impracticalities about that. It's maybe the best way to say it. English won early, long before the Battle of Agincourt. Virtual Cycle says 100 years? Yeah, there's a war called the 100 Years' War, and it is, if you like Bretonia, then look into it, because it's all about that. You know what, actually, I think this is a little bit later than that. Have you guys heard of, there's a Tudor ship called the Mary Rose, and I'd love to go see it, because they found it recently in the English Channel, and it was really well preserved, and they dredged it up, they pulled it up. Oh, Dana Howell's in the chat. Hey, Dana. Sorry, the Mary Rose. It was really well preserved because it sunk, I think, in the time of Henry VIII or something. But it was an older ship, and it's so funny to me because they had refit it with new guns, even though it was an older ship, and it wasn't ever meant to carry that weight of guns, from what I understand. So on its first trip, it sails out into the channel and does like a high octane turn, and on its first turn, like, it just, some of its gun ports dip below the water, and it just sinks like instantly. And there was loss of life. I shouldn't. It's not totally funny, but when I think about, one of my friends one time, he had just got his license, and we were in a parking garage, and he was like trying to show off, and he pulled out backwards out of his spot really quickly, and he just rammed into like a yellow painted pole, and it just reminds me of that, albeit on a grander scale. But it makes me chuckle. But anyways, the reason I brought up the Mary Rose is because one of the cool things about it is they found the skeletons of English longbowmen in the wreckage of the Mary Rose, and they're extremely well preserved because of how quickly it sank, and I guess it sank in cold water or something. John McElroy's Ghost says sank in the Thames. Okay, so not in the Channel. Is that right? I don't think it was in the Thames. Maybe in the mouth of the Thames? Anyways. So, it was the silt. Anyways, guys, they found an English longbowman on there, and he was like, they could tell by his skeleton that he must have just been insanely muscled in the upper body from being a longbowman, because those longbows back then, they had like an over 100-pound draw weight, and these guys would shoot like 6 arrows a minute or something like that. So they're just basically doing like rows with 100 pounds, just firing these arrows off, like 6 a minute, all day basically, and these guys would have just been unbelievably built. And I guess they had a culture with the English longbow where, because there was, I'm sure you guys all heard in Robin Hood and stuff, like someone's getting married and they'll have a joust, and then they'll also have an archery tournament. So there was so many archery tournaments and things going on in England at the time that every young kid in a certain demographic would learn the longbow. And so they could mobilize huge amounts of these incredible archers. England could, and it was a big advantage over their enemies. And that's the sort of period in the Hundred Years' War where the English longbow did a lot of work for England. And apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the Duke of Wellington, Sir Arthur Wellesley, asked for English longbowmen in the Napoleonic Wars. And he's like, yeah, it'd be wicked. They're so much better than muskets. And there just weren't enough people who were good enough to shoot the longbows at that rate anymore. Because you have to do it from when you're little to be good at it. But yeah, really, really amazing weapon of war, guys. Not sure why I digressed into that, but yeah. Scott Daniker says it was in the Solent off Portsmouth. Okay, there you go. Yeah, off the coast of Portsmouth. Yeah, I thought it was just like just off the coast. The archery assemblage from the Mary Rose constitutes the largest collection of Tudor longbows anywhere in the world. 172 longbows were recovered from the Mary Rose along with 4 chests. There you go. Yeah. So the other thing about longbows, guys, is a longbow from that time was made out of a yew, Y-E-W. And a yew is a tree that grows in a hedge. Like it's a slow-growing hedge-like tree that apparently you have them in England, but they take so long to grow. And then to get the longbow, you need like a piece that's sort of from the center of the tree. Half of it's from the center and half of it's from the outside. So half of it's the springy young wood and half of it's the heartwood. And those sort of 2 materials together are what gives the bow its amazing properties. And so when you run out of yew hedges, because you're cutting them down for longbows, it takes 100 years to grow them back to get more. So that's probably another reason for the decline of the English longbow. Or so I've read. Maybe it's all, you know, a lot of this stuff is from historical fiction novels rather than from real historical sources and research. So while I trust some authors to do their research well, I can't vouch for the absolute validity of the information. But I still think it's a fascinating topic, guys. Thanks for getting me going on that. Virtual Circle says, so are you extinct? Oh, I see. Haha, man. Come on. We could do better than that, guys. Tanker710 says, I'm loving the scatter. Thanks, Tanker. Amir Hajic said, cool to think how strong the bows were to the point you can see their bones molded from the years of archery practice. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I think they did that reenactment. I don't really understand how that works. They always do like they'll find a skeleton. They being, you know, museum types. They'll find a skeleton. And then they'll go, here's, you know, here's a sophisticated computer, and this is what the guy looked like. Can you really tell what somebody looks like just from the shape of their face? Or is it like... I feel like there's more to it than that. Like, you can't tell much about the soft tissue of somebody's nose from, like, their face, can you? I mean, maybe somebody who works in an industry adjacent to this sort of stuff can shed some light on that for me, because I don't understand how they do these face recreations. They just make it up, Eric, says Virtual Circle, as if it's... And of course it's obvious. Yes, of course they do. But thank you. Like, I guess what is the point of that? Is it just something sensational? It's like, oh my gosh, they were able to resurrect the longbowman from the Mary Rose. It's science. And it's just not science at all? Is that what's going on? Okay, you know what I've decided? Yeah. this. I'm going to do this one over here like this. I'm putting another piece of pipe, guys. And I was going to put it like this, but now I've decided it's going to be over here, and it's going to have another elbow that takes it into the wall there, because that will provide some extra stability here. Solvent Abuse UK says, what games you playing at the moment, Eric? That's a heck of a name, Solvent Abuse. Necromunda, Mordheim, 40k, Fantasy. Those are my 4, pretty much. I bought a box of Blackstone Fortress, but I just wanted some of the models. I've never played it. And I DM'd some D&D for my friends, or for my brothers, rather. Or I guess also my friends, but wouldn't be appropriate to just call them my friends. But yeah, those are sort of the games. I'd love to give Gorka Morka a try. I've never played Gorka Morka, but I hear it's good. Yeah. ScoDCVS Gossage says, you ever read the Richard Sharp books by Bernard Cornwell? Great historical fiction from the Napoleonic War area. He also wrote the Last Kingdom series. I sure have. I've read a couple of Sharp books. Read some of his Peninsular stuff. Read some of. I read the sort of prequel series where he's in India, and I loved them. I thought they were wonderful. He also wrote, I've read quite a lot of Cornwell, actually. He wrote some 100 Years' War stuff, since we were talking about that earlier. He wrote one called, a standalone novel called Agincourt, and then he wrote a trilogy that takes place, I think, towards the beginning of the 100 Years' War, and that was really good as well, about a fictional character named Thomas of Hookton, who's an English longbowman, and I enjoyed that tremendously. You know, he's pretty much like Richard Sharp with a longbow, if I'm being honest. So check it out if you're interested. And he also did, yeah, the Last Kingdom series. I read all those books long before that show came out, and I like the books a lot better than I like the show, let me tell you. But that's neither here nor there. But he also does a killer Arthurian sort of series set in the Dark Ages in England, and it's really, really good. It's very grounded, but it still has a good sense of, you know, they do a good job of portraying like what role a wizard like Merlin could have in a secular or in a magicless world. And how they use people's sort of credulity and superstition against them. And anyways, it was really, really good. So yeah, I'm a huge Bernard Cornwell fan. Recommend him to anybody. Dana Howell says, specifically the types that do recreation and stuff based on various facts. Am I reading out of order here? What? I'm missing something. Dana Howell says, we should unbox my sealed copy of Gorka Morka together next time you visit Canada. Make a cool video where we each paint half. Yeah, that could be cool. That could be cool. Gorka Morka is definitely something that I really like the aesthetic of. I think it's very, very cool. Okay, Joe's Ray has. Okay, guys, can I just say one thing? If you're gonna leave a comment about something, sometimes when the chat is popping, I can't see sequential comments, like they're separated by many comments. So try to put them all in one comment if you want me to be able to follow it more easily, because that'll help me out a lot. So Joe's Ray says, there is no way to find out. It has to do with how deep an ear canal is. It puts the depth of the skin and said musculature onto the face of the face into proportion. That's how forensic artists recreate victims' portraits from skulls. That's interesting. So it has to do with the depth of the ear canal. Because I was asking earlier, if anyone just joined, about how they get how they can do these recreations of what somebody looked like, whether it's a Neanderthal or whatever, based on just a skull. And so Joe's was shining some light on that. Mr. LG Day UK says, you got to read Dana's comment above. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble keeping up with the chat tonight today. I think I read that one, right? That was the Gorka Morka one? Yeah, I'm down, Dana. Let's do it. That sounds like fun. A secular world without magic. There's more to that than most know. Oh. Caitlin Sadowski says, what are you making? Well, I've got this little vent here. Caitlin Sadowski. It is like just something I picture like in Necromunda. Maybe this thing is like a vent to a lower level. Maybe there's some like liquid down there that somebody's pumping to later monetize or turn into some sort of narcotic or something like that. But now that I look at it, I think I need to add some details to this particular piece, and I probably should have done that before to this thing. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use some alcohol to try to remove the sticky residue here. Let's do that. Let's do that. It's an Escher drug vat. Yeah, we could call it that. Check out Dana's comments at night. Okay, I already read that. Richard Aubergine. Exactly. Oh, Richard Aubergine says, the best archers in the world have to be the Mongols. They were able to ride horseback while shooting, but also luring cavalry into traps before they would ambush them into slaughter. Yeah, so horseback archery, very impressive. I think somebody mentioned before that there is a guy on YouTube who does that sort of stuff, and he rapid fires. And one of the things that he does is, and I forget his name, so someone please post his name in the chat again if you remember it, if you know who I'm talking about. But one of the things he does to shoot rapidly with a bow that I'd never seen before is he holds the arrows in his hand like this. So he's got the bow in this hand like this, and then he holds the arrows here like this. So he just goes like twing, 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 and he doesn't have to like reach into a quiver between each arrow. And the rate of fire is very impressive. But there's no chance a Mongol bow is outdistancing an English longbow. It's just not happening. Just not happening. So it really depends what you want. Like, I mean, a crossbow will shoot a bolt through the thickest plate armor. An English longbow will shoot, you know, a sky-darkening volley of arrows for like 300 yards. And a Mongol recurve bow in the hands of a skilled horse archer will have its own purpose as well, but I think it's kind of comparing apples to oranges. So I don't really, I wouldn't say that they're better archers because they can ride a horse while doing archery, because that's like saying that, I don't know what that's like saying. It's like saying that, come on, I can do this. Guys, I'm normally not so as a loss for metaphors, but I just like, my mind went completely blank there. Amir Hajek said, I suppose the mobility of Mongol riders would close the range between the longbowmen. Yeah, if they got there. Now we're into like hypothetical who would win. Like, you guys remember on Spike TV, they used to have this like, these shows like, Deadliest Warrior or whatever, and they would like have a bunch of guys come together and they'd be like, oh, okay, well I've got here like this kind of sword and I'm about to cut this piece of like pork belly or whatever to show that this is a more effective weapon than the samurai sword. That's what I feel like we're getting into, guys, this sort of speculative talk. I mean, the reality is war, the history of war, is a constant arms race. It's action and reaction. So the most effective units in history have been ones that have answered the weakness of what they're going against consistently. So the English longbowmen were in their particular niche where they were fighting heavily armored French cavalry, and there was no black powder weapons on the field. They were able to have an advantage there because they could just fill them with arrows, kill their horses under them. But that's a very particular point in time, very particular point in history. You know, would that have been... You can't compare different eras of history because the matchups just don't line up like that, you know? I mean, I don't know. So I think there's limited utility to saying, you know, these guys were better than this era and blah blah blah. It's kind of like saying, you know, who's the best pound for pound fighter? Would Muhammad Ali beat Mike Tyson? I mean, the answer is obviously no. But it's the same kind of speculation that you're getting into. What should I add next to this, guys? You think it would be weird to add a little piece of pipe sticking out the side of this? I think it would be. I don't think we need that. I think we need something up here to change up here a little bit. Should I do another? No. No. Maybe a little bit of railing. I think a little bit of railing would look nice. Do I have any of that? Use this. Or could I? Let's see. Oh wow, chat's really roaring. Diggs Miniatures says the English longbow was like the 50 cal sniper rifle and the Mongolian composite recurve bow was more like the M16. Sure, I guess you could say that. That's right. Thank you for the metaphor, H.P. Lovecraft. It's like saying you're a better driver than A.J. Foyt because you can get fast food on the commute to work. Yes, that's what I was trying to get at. Something about multitasking making you better than the specialist because you're multitasking. I don't know who A.J. Foyt is, but I assume he's a real hot driver. Kudos as Kismet says, I struggle with making my terrain pieces look interesting. Any tips for adding details to really make the piece pop? Any go-tos to use regularly for industrial or gothic themes? Error Not Human said, Eric, the pipe junctions are 3D printed. They sure are. I'll talk about them in a future video. They're from a guy named 7 United on Instagram. This is Mithras17, I think is his Instagram handle. But you'll find him on Thingiverse if you search for like sci-fi stuff. Sorry, where was I? I was going to say, struggle with making your terrain pieces interesting. So what I would say to that is you might want to look into studying composition of like photographs and artwork and stuff like that. Because I find that what fundamentally makes terrain pieces look interesting is if they have a good sense of sort of aesthetic balance to them. Like if you look at this piece, it just sort of works because there's flat and an angle and tall, and it's very, very hard for me to describe in any detail why I think this piece works. But once you sort of have an aesthetic sensibility, then you can say it needs something more here, or it needs, I don't know. It's a very, very difficult question that you're asking me. I don't have a good reason. I don't have a good answer for that off the top of my head. But I would say, generally speaking, start big and then shrink down. So start with the big pieces, this, and then add the stairs, and then add the pipes. You know, don't add the pipes and then add a big piece after, because that's not the way to do it. Start with the big shapes and shrink down. That's what I would say. But that said, I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like, what? Maybe I should add something like that. Is that crazy? It actually looks kind of good. I don't think I'm going to, because this piece is very heavy. That would make it harder to store, and this is supposed to be scatter terrain, right? I have a bad habit of always making things bigger and bigger and bigger, guys. I'm going to try to refrain from doing that today. Let's catch up on some chat here. Uh-oh. Michael E. Malonis says, big fan blade under the grate. That's actually a great idea, Michael. I'll have this little fan. It's probably too small. I'm not sure how I would make a big fan blade. What I would probably do is just pirate one from an old piece of electronics, but I don't have one right here, right now, that I can do that with. So I'm not going to do that right now, but that is a good idea. I think a fan blade would look just about right in there. Good thinking. Yeah, another piece asking about how to make the terrain look realistic is also helps to have little things that cue your eye into seeing it at the correct scale. So although there are going to be big coarse shapes, that's kind of part of the shrinking down the shapes as you work process, is you want to have indications that make your brain think, oh, that's for a little guy. That's for a little 1 inch tall man. That's not just some plumbing fixtures that this guy glued together. That is a little scene for a little guy. So that's how I think about things. Now I might do a little piece of trim around here, but I'm a little bit concerned with how hard it is to get under that area that I haven't trimmed yet. So I also might not. What can I say? Miniature Medium says, hi Eric, can't stick around, wanted to stop in and say hello. I'll be back to watch the whole thing later this evening. Cool, man, thanks for stopping in. Mr. LGD UK. Can you tell me how you're supposed to pronounce that? I struggle with it every time. LGD UK? Mr. LGD UK? And if that's an acronym, what does it stand for? Let's go down to the UK. Love getting donuts, United Kingdom. Let me know, you guys, what the acronym is in the chat. No wrong answers. Paul Reedy says, yes, a live stream. Hell yeah. You made it, Paul. You're here. We're live. We're doing it. Oh, hey, guys, look what I just found. Should I put it in? This kind of doesn't really look like a fan blade. It kind of looks good. Mr. LG Duck. LGD means Little Gay Dave. Okay. What do you think of Games Workshop's later doing against YouTubers? If the fan don't fit, you must have quit. I mean, it does kind of fit. What do you think? It's bumping now against that pipe that I put in. I'm not totally sold on it, but I don't totally hate it. Maybe if I add some blades on top of these that are angled. Well, let's do that, guys, and we'll see what that looks like, okay? Let's give it a shot. Can you cut the ring off and bend the blades? Yeah, so the thing is, they're not really blades at all. They're kind of like these weird, I don't even know what to call them. And it's really dirty, too. It's so good. What do I think of Games Workshop? I think Games Workshop can do no wrong. I think, you know, if they asked me to delete my channel, I would do it, regardless of what, of the fact my channel is fair use or not. You know? No, I'm kidding. I think that you need to. I don't like referring to Games Workshop as one entity. Like everybody in the company has united to do this thing. That is, in reality, it's probably a few senior people and the legal department, and I think they're making their company look bad by with the messaging around this. I don't think what they've done in terms of the update of their policy is particularly shocking or inappropriate, just given that, yeah, you're not supposed to make, you know, unregistered IP stuff and then profit off of it using somebody else's IP. You're not supposed to do that. But I think they should tolerate it, and they should give some more guidance around that, saying, you know, we're never going to go after things that are obviously fan-made, but we do have to defend ourselves against competitors getting a little too comfortable with our stuff or something. I don't know. It's a hard place for them. You try to put yourself in Games Workshop shoes. Like, what are they supposed to say? What are they supposed to say? Be like, yeah, we're hereby granting a free license to everybody. Everybody who wants to use our IP, make whatever kind of animation you want, you know? Like, they can't really do that. So, I don't know. These are half-baked hot takes, guys. Don't listen to me. I just realized this thing spins brilliantly, but what's it for? GW should encourage people making fan fiction. Hey, why don't we make our own little fan film right here, guys? What do you think? Hey? Okay, that's so bad. That's the worst joke I think I've ever made. Hey, GW. Does this count as a GW fan film? Just try to stop me. Oh, I'm losing it, guys. I'm losing it. When they say you can't even have a Patreon page, I wonder what they would do if somebody was like, hey, you know, like if somebody says, hey, you know, I make these Astartes fan animations, I make them for free, but by the way, I have an Etsy page where I sell, you know, paper bags, and the paper bags are like 30 bucks each, and it's a separate business or whatever. How would GW get around something like that? Like, if you want to support a creator, you can support them, and if they're not selling anything related to the Games Workshop IP, I don't know. That's like how they would do it? It's like making it into like a contraband product, but guys, as you can see, I have no good take about this. I think it is a complicated issue. I don't blame Games Workshop that much for doing what they did, because they haven't sent a single cease and desist letter as far as I know. Like, we got to keep that in mind, right? They haven't C&D'd anybody. So, I mean, like, the guy who did the text-to-speech device quit because he was like, oh, you know, there's not enough certainty about whether I'm going to keep doing this. But it's like, well, what changed to make him feel that way? If he feels like making fan content is not enough job security, fair enough, that's a reasonable position. But I don't think you can 100% put that on Games Workshop. Like, he must have gone from feeling like he had, like, did he go from feeling like he had 100% job security to 0 overnight because of that policy update? Like, it's kind of an incremental shift that's not huge, like, from where I see it, you know? And I think it's a shame when the fan base loses a fan creator, but at the same time, it happens all the time that people make decisions to for their family, for greater job security, and you can't systemically, like, this is a bigger thing than GW, you know, like making fan content of anything is not like, if you go to your careers counselor in high school and say, what kind of job security am I looking at if I make fan animations of this famous IP? Like, not one of them is going to be like anything more than 0, you know? So the fact that he was able to build this thriving sort of fan base to begin with is amazing, and it's wonderful, but I don't think that there's any world in which Games Workshop can come out and say, you know what, you're good, dude. We're going to actually just give you a license because we like all these silly jokes that you do with our IP. And at the end of the day, what he was doing was satire and is protected by fair use. And so maybe the issue is that a Patreon or a YouTube, if asked to take him down, would do it without enough process that he could make the case for himself. And that is so clearly an issue bigger than Games Workshop that you can't blame Games Workshop for. That what are you going to do about that? So, like, that's a YouTube issue. That's a Patreon issue. That's a big tech issue that transcends Games Workshop, the way I see it. So I think it's actually quite a complicated issue, and I know it's fun to dunk on Games Workshop, and I know it's fun to... It's good that people support fan animators and stuff, but I just don't think it's so cut and dry and simple. Like, I don't know. I'm still forming my opinion, but here I am on live stream sharing my half-baked opinions with you guys. So, I'm trying to catch up on some of these comments that happened while I was ranting, guys. I don't really have a huge thing. Oh, are people having a debate about freedom of speech in the comments? That's always fun. I love it. Well, you know what? One thing I can say, guys, is that you have freedom of speech in my comment section with certain limits. I will ban you if you say certain things. I think you all know what they are. Yeah. If you say Eric with a question mark after it, that's an instant timeout right there. Oh, hey guys, look at these. I found some... These look like a lot like fan blades, don't they? They're kind of too long. That's annoying. Ooh, that's exactly what I was looking for, something like that. The Schmite, you're toast. You're timed out, pal. Technicalities will not save you, guys. Technicalities will not save you. Richard Aubergine says, Eric, have you tried to do Necromunda animal armor? You take an elephant toy and build up armor and machine guns, to etc. to be as gate guards. No, I haven't done that. An elephant toy. I don't really see elephants in the Necromunda world too much. Have you done something like that? Send me a picture of something like that inspired you to do this. It sounds like it could be interesting. There certainly could be something there. Maybe I'm just not seeing the whole vision of it at this point. I'm trying to find my clippers right now so I can clip this piece of fencing into length. Ooh, my 3D print is finished too. Power Surge says, I don't mind if people boycott, but as long as people don't get upset that most don't. If I stopped collecting Warhammer, I'd probably stop the whole hobby altogether. The Warhammer universe and the game motivates me to build and paint. Yeah, you know, boycott. I'm deep into this hobby, obviously, but I really don't buy that much stuff from Games Workshop, so I think the utility of a boycott from me is limited. I guess I'm not against the idea of a boycott if I thought it'd be effective and I thought it'd be the right way to. But I think there's other ways to get our message across, like about what we want to see from Games Workshop. You know, I think the YouTubers who come out and sort of say what they want to see from Games Workshop is good. I think boycotts are tough because I'm just not sure, given the way that Games Workshop has been growing, that a boycott signal would be received. The whole reason to do a boycott is you want the company to feel pain and go, what's going on? What's happening with my bottom line? So if you boycott at a time of already rapid growth, is that signal even reached? Like, does that signal even reach the intended? That's what I'd be concerned about. You know, and if you're so angry at the company that you just don't want to support it anymore, fair enough. But I think writing civil letters to Games Workshop and saying, fan animations mean a lot to me, please don't, rather than saying, you know, FGW and then boycotting them. Might be more effective, but I'm not exactly a community organizer or something like that, so I don't know. I spend very little time thinking about tactics like this, guys. If a company posts an advertisement or trailer to the general public and it loses its copyright protection, if I was in charge. I don't get it. Power Surge said they definitely won't feel it. Most people don't care. The whole boycott thing feels like a Twitter/Reddit trend. They feel more when people don't like an army because it doesn't appeal. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I mean, I don't... Like, whoever's doing their business analytics in the back end, how much are they going to attribute to a boycott? And how much are they going to attribute to, oh, this range isn't popular? Like, you know, if everybody boycotts and the Krieg Guard box bombs, then maybe they'll just never do any Creed or Guard, or like Orc and Krieg models anymore. You know, like will they even notice that it's because of the Warhammer Plus thing, or because of the content creator thing? It's questionable. I don't know. I mean, these are all valid questions, I think, guys. I'm certainly have had my frustrations over the years with Games Workshop, but it's important to keep in mind the good feelings as well, and not get too lost in this. So here's what I'm trying to do right now, guys. I'm adding a little bit of railing to right here. This is made out of hardware cloth, available at Home Depot. I think I'm just going to use some hot glue. See how this works. Might be a little messy at first, and I'll clean it up after. I think I've made a bit of a mess of this, guys. Hmm. 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 People are looking at an Orc AT-AT in the chat. Sounds like fun. I really hope they make a full Krieg range. The infantry looks good, but I want some tanks and command squads and stuff. It'd be interesting to see the Imperial Guard tanks get redone. I don't think they would ever redo things like the Lehman Russ and stuff at this point. I think they'd probably just release newer, bigger ones. Maybe hover tanks. Maybe something that's easier to protect IP-wise, similar to the way they did Primaris tanks. It'll be interesting to see if they do more stuff like that. They'll maybe do like something like a Baneblade, but in plastic, like a super big ticket, really cool tank that everybody wants. But I doubt you'll see a remade Lehman Russ or Chimera or anything like that anytime soon. That's my prediction. Well, that looks pretty tight. You know what? I'm going to add a little bit more chipboard just in the bottom piece here. Let's see. Okay. Glue. In. And glue. And on. Okay. Let's see. That looks kind of sketchy. I've never crafted live before, guys. It's kind of fun, kind of liberating. Did I say liberating? I meant liberating with a B. Liberating. Mr. LGD UK says needs more tentacles, Eric. I don't think so, man. Like that. I pretty much loved when the new Necromunda box set came out. I liked everything in it, and when I say the new one, I mean the 2017 one. I liked everything in it except that one piece that was a little great with the tentacle coming out of it. I thought that was dumb and not to my tastes. So the idea that I'm going to put tentacles coming out of this one, probably not. In general, I like things to look as static as possible in some sense. So like my favorite miniatures are guys like this. You know, he's not mid-stride flying through the air. He's in a pose that looks good anywhere, all the time, because it's such a natural, universal pose, you know? So, like tentacles, if I wanted to run a scenario where there were tentacles coming out of this thing, then I would make a removable tentacle. And the tentacles would come out of it for one turn and then be dealt with or not, or whatever. But I don't want tentacles dangling out of this thing permanently, if that makes sense. I think it does. Alright, well this is looking pretty cool, guys, and it's been over 2 hours now. I think I'm actually going to call it a night. My wife came down here with a plate of food for me like close to an hour ago now, and I realized that I'm as sweet as she is, it's still a little bit rude for me to completely blow off dinner because I just started to randomly stream. So I'm going to say goodnight, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for baiting me into giving some hot takes about some hot subjects. Thanks for chatting about the 100 Years' War with me. The whole thing. I've had a good time. Happy Sunday, everybody. Be good to each other. And thanks for tuning in. So we'll see you next time. on Eric's Hobby Workshop.